It's an all-ISIS show on the Common Constitutionalist podcast as I discuss the downing of the Russian Airliner in Egypt and the stabbing rampage in California by that little wingnut student at the UC Merced campus. Today on the Common Constitutionalist.
You're listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment black helicopters.
So it's been evidently confirmed that the Russian airliner Metrojet Flight 9268 that took off out of Egypt was indeed brought down by a bomb that was most likely in the cargo hold. That, at least according to the analysis of the black box recorders. And everybody's thinking that this is an ISIS strike, and I believe it was probably the same. So I guess the next question is how in the heck did they get the bomb on board this jet? Well, they assume, I'm guessing that they have insiders at the airport because they've got insiders everywhere. And it all comes down to this one group, Wilayat Sinai, who are an ex-Al-Qaeda group that has sworn allegiance to al-Baghdadi and now are an ISIS province. And that's exactly what Wilayat Sinai stands for. Wilayat or Wilayas are ISIS provinces, and so it's basically Province Sinai. Now that they've pledged allegiance about a year or so ago to ISIS. This terror cell in Egypt was once thought to be affiliated with Al-Qaeda, but because of their their violence, their over-the-top terrorism, if you can call it such a thing, the Al-Qaeda groups never really confirmed their affiliation. That's how bad these guys are. That's how bad all of these ISIS guys are. So don't believe anything that this administration or any other administration says about ISIS being beaten back, being beaten down, losing control over areas. Maybe they might lose a battle or two, but they've got these wilayas all over the globe, or at least extending to a number of areas. They're in Iraq, they're in Syria, they're in Libya, they're in Afghanistan, they're in Pakistan. There are wilayas in Yemen, in Egypt, the Sinai, obviously, Algeria, Nigeria, Europe, and now they've, one of the, I guess it's an American security resource has confirmed that there are at least 71 ISIS fighters in over 15 states that they know of. At least they suspect. And so I guarantee they're like cockroaches. If you see or if you suspect 71, I'll guarantee you there's a whole heck of a lot more out there. And they're in the United States, just waiting. And what they do is they set up these terror cells, and the terror cells are usually only about 5 guys, and that's it for the terror cells. And there's one individual. These terror cells don't communicate with one another other than one individual that's basically, I don't know whether he's promoted or designated to communicate with home base or with other cells. So these other cells, they act autonomously, and you think that they're just these wacky little terror cells, but in fact they work in conjunction with I don't know whether it goes all the way up to al-Baghdadi or his lieutenants or whatever, but that's what these terror cells do. They operate in small little groups, and they wreak havoc all over the world. And there's one guy that's I don't think he's elected, he's appointed. And I don't even think that the other people in the cell, the other 4 guys in the cell, know which one of the 5 is the communicator to these other cells or to ISIS in Raqqa. I don't know. Nor I don't think anyone else does either. The Egyptian military has been battling these guys for a while now, and they can't seem to get a fix on it. And the reason they can't seem to get a fix on it is that the Egyptian officials suspect that the group, the Wilayat Sinai, has informants inside the ranks of the army, inside the Egyptian army, that basically then can tip them off as to when the Egyptian military is getting close to striking or understands where their territory is or where they're holed up, so they can beat feet out of there before they get there. And this is how they've been able to avoid capture or even being killed. Now, this Wilayat Sinai organization, whatever you want to call them, terror group, is they are not one of the typical small man 5-man terror cells throughout the world. They're a pretty big outfit and growing virtually every day. Their exact size no one seems to know, but it could be anywhere between a few hundred to a few thousand fighters that they've got out there. They're mainly locals, but they also have recruits from other places in Egypt and beyond Egypt. And now that they've basically taken credit, or people are pointing to them as the cause of this Russian airliner, downing airliner, their recruiting is going to go way up, and that's really unfortunate. And this isn't the only attack that these guys have ever done. Back in January 2014, they shot down a Egyptian military helicopter with a rocket launcher, and they killed all five guys in the helicopter obviously were killed. They've done bombing attacks in Cairo. They attacked a tourist bus in Sinai back in February of 2014. They attacked an Egyptian in July of this year. They attacked an Egyptian naval patrol. And apparently what had happened is this Egyptian naval patrol boat was patrolling the coastline and saw these ISIS fighters on the shoreline, and they engaged them, and one of the ISIS guys had a rocket launcher and shot it at them and shot a hole in their boat. I don't know if the boat sank completely or whatever, but it caused some major damage. And back in August, they also released a video. It was shortly after one of the ISIS videos where the English jihadi, what's his name, Jihadi John or whatever his name is, who was cutting the heads, beheading all the Americans and whatnot. Shortly after one of those videos released, Wilayat Sinai released a similar execution video of 4 Egyptian citizens. Now, before these guys were affiliated officially, I guess, before they officially pledged allegiance to ISIS, they were still a terror group, and they were kind of acting on their own, so to speak. And they were originally focused on Israel as the enemy. But after the Muslim Brotherhood, Mohammed Morsi came to power in Egypt, and then he was ousted. This group, Wilayat Sinai, whose former name before it was Wilayat Sinai, before they pledged allegiance to old Baghdadi there, was Ansar Bayat al-Maqdis. A little terror trivia for you there. But anyway, after Morsi was ousted, the Muslim Brotherhood-backed Morsi was ousted. They decided to basically concentrate not on Israel, but on the Egyptian government that ousted Morsi. So you can basically, again, like a lot of things over in the Middle East, you can thank Obama for this, because he's the one, his administration, and him in particular, was the one who backed Morsi to begin with. Remember, the Muslim Brotherhood, well, I'm just going to call him a Muslim Brotherhood advocate, because that's what Obama certainly seems to be, at least to me anyway. So he backs Morsi, and this group, after Morsi gets ousted, says, the heck with you guys. We're going after you guys because Morsi was our guy. So thanks a lot, Obama, again. Now, and these guys are also, they're, as ISIS is, these guys are Sunnis. These guys are Salafist Sunnis out of Egypt, this Wilayat Sinai group. And they've also been accused of attacking, the Palestinian Hamas group, which makes a lot of sense, obviously, because who's Hamas's sugar daddy is Iran, and they're Shiite. And so, naturally, the Salafist Sunnis are going to be attacking Hamas. It's anarchy over there, man. It's what the Wild West wasn't. And it's a whole lot worse, and it's going to get a whole lot worse. And this is just the start of it over there. Nobody's got a handle on this thing. I don't know what Russia's going to do at this point, but frankly, I'm not sure what they can do at this point, because there are so many of these wilayas all over the place, and they're acting quasi-independently, that I'm not sure that this is no longer your father's or your grandfather's battlefield. I don't know what's going to happen. I just don't. I'm at a loss at this point as to what we can do other than just to wipe out these individual cells as they pop up. You just squash them and then see what happens. I don't know. But I'll tell you, in retrospect, and as this Arab Spring was happening way back when, we conservatives were warning that as bad as these dictators were over there, as bad as Mubarak was, as bad as Gaddafi was, and Saddam Hussein was, these guys kept these terrorist cells in check. So until some other hardline dictators decide to step up to the plate, there's going to be a vacuum over there, and ISIS looks like it's going to be filling the vacuum for quite a while.
You're listening to the Common Constitution. Let the truth be known.
So it seems the California teenager, little 18-year-old Faisal, or how do you pronounce it? Faisal Mohammed, from University of California at Merced, who went on a stabbing rampage and left 4 injured, didn't just plan to injure people. He also planned to behead one of his victims while he praised Allah in doing so. Gee, I wonder where he got that idea from. Little Faisal Mohammed. I'm sure he's just a typical American teenager. He was an angsty, just typical American teenager that was frustrated and decided to go on a stabbing rampage, praising Allah, and wanted to behead one of his victims. Gee. And evidently, as people already know, that he had this 2-page manifesto, whatever, found in his pocket where he documented, numerically listing and outlining his plans of who he wanted to kill, how, including the beheading, and he also wanted to steal one of the cops' or somebody's gun and shoot people too. I mean, this guy was a complete turned whack job, turned by ISIS, and actually a Twitter account linked to ISIS praised the attack. Although naturally police and officials are indicating that they're saying that there's nothing to indicate any political or religious motivation. Really, there's nothing to indicate a political or a religious motivation, just the fact that he wanted to behead somebody and yell Allah Akbar. Yeah, no, there's no religious affiliation there. None at all. I mean, honestly. Wake up, folks. Wake the crap up. And naturally, where did this happen? It happened in a gun-free zone. Well, but little Muhammad didn't have a gun. Little Faisal Mohammed didn't have a gun. He only had a knife, an 8-inch freaking knife, or something, 8 or 10-inch blade or something like that. But he knew darn well that he wasn't going to be shot, at least immediately, because there was no armed citizens nearby. So they had to wait for police to take him down. Luckily, for some victims, potential victims, there was a construction team nearby or something like that who disrupted things, took him down, and then the police shot him dead or something like that. And he apparently had scripted this whole scene out. That he was going to remind himself to raise the gun slowly once he got the firearm. Thought he could kill 2 people with 1 bullet. That's possible, but it's not probable, particularly with somebody with no firearms experience. And he scripted this whole thing out in chronological order, how he was going to do it. Apparently, he was carrying 2 plastic baggies of highly flammable petroleum jelly, zip tie handcuffs, night vision goggles, duct tape, and a hammer in his backpack. And that was his plan, was basically to take hostages, not just to stab a bunch of people, but to take hostages and then put out a dummy distress call for police to come, ambush the police when they got there, steal the gun, and shoot everybody. And then after the fact, this is what really ticks me off about this whole situation. Obviously, yes, the attack was heinous, and it should have been stopped a lot earlier, and it could have been. Obviously, we're not going to go down that road, but this could have been stopped. But the thing that really irks me is the fact that after this attack is over, all these officials go into instant politically correct mode. This police chief or sheriff, Vern Warnke or whatever his name is, said something honestly so ludicrous it's almost not to be believed. He said that although Mohammed had made several references to Allah, he doesn't believe the attack was connected to religion or terrorism. Honestly. What do you even say to something like that? You just got to take the guy to the side, slap him around, and just say you're a complete and utter politically correct moron, and you people are going to get us all killed. And naturally, the university had to get involved in the politically correct parade, where UC Merced Chancellor Dorothy Leland said the attacks were motivated by personal animosities and a vendetta, not a political agenda. No, it wasn't necessarily a political agenda. It was a religious agenda. And it's called, wait for it, radical Islam. Yes, there you go. Just like Clock Boy. Maybe they're related. Now, according to the campus construction workers, this kid Mohammed was smiling the whole time that he attacked that he was stabbing these people. That's got to tell you something right there and there. And this is something telling if you understand what's kind of going on in this country. Another student described Mohammed as antisocial by his roommate. Now, that doesn't seem like much until you understand that if you go back and read any of my articles about the project, the Muslim Brotherhood Project, one of the things is antisocial behavior, where you stay away from people. You keep a low profile, and you stay away from people, and it's considered antisocial. It's called the civilization jihad. Look it up. Read some of my articles if you haven't already about the project, and you'll understand what is really going on. Now, I don't know whether this kid is part of the project, was just swept up in all this ISIS jihad nonsense. We don't know anything at this point, at least I don't, about his parents, his upbringing, his background, anything. I don't know where he's from, where his family's from. I don't know anything at this point, but something sure smells fishy at UC Merced. And this Sheriff Warnke said that prior to the incident, the stabbing rampage, Mohammed gave no indication that he was doing anything other than being a student at UC Merced. No mental illness, no nothing like that. Well, no, it's not. It's keeping your head down. It's like the Wilayats all over the globe that I just spoke about these 5-team terror cells that act quasi-autonomously. And they keep their heads down, they keep quiet, they go about their own business until they're they're told to attack, or that fifth guy who's the communique tells them, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to attack, and then boom, it looks like it just comes out of nowhere, when it doesn't actually come out of nowhere. And we may find out exactly that this was, well, obviously it was pre-planned. He wrote everything down. So we don't know whether this was just simply terrorist or ISIS inspired, or whether this guy is part of something bigger. We have no idea, and we may not have any idea. We may not find out. And with this politically correct atmosphere we got going on out there, we probably never will find out, because they probably don't even want to find out. Just ticks me off to no end. I just can't believe it. And you wonder, this goes right back to Germany being overrun by Syrian Muslims, and the rise of neo-Nazism over in Germany, and the nationalism over in Germany. And it isn't right. I'm not saying it's right, but it's understandable, the backlash to what's going on over there. And with more attacks in this country, you're going to see a backlash. I guarantee it. You're going to see a backlash if we get more attacks like this that appear to be just individuals attacking on their own, ISIS-inspired and whatnot. Something else might be going on. I don't know. I'm not going to do some conspiracy theory nonsense, but something's going on. And I fear that if it gets worse, that we may end up having not some neo-Nazi backlash, but some sort of nationalism backlash against Muslims in general. I don't know. I'm not sure where this is going to go, but it ain't pretty, and it's going to get, I think it'll get a lot worse before it gets any better, and in this country also. It's insanity. So, I guess that's about all I've got, before I drive myself completely insane, and listeners also. So y'all have a good rest of the weekend, and I'll talk to you next week.